Okay, I'm going to teach you how to make what I call a stunt plane. It's the plane that my mom taught me how to make when I was a little kid. We're going to first start with a piece of engineering paper here. I'm using engineering paper so that it's easier for you to see the folds because of the lines on it. But because of the holes, it's not as good a paper to make paper airplanes. You know, you might use printer paper or something like that. But all you need is a piece of printer paper, and then to do things really right, it's nice to have a sharp pair of scissors and some cellophane tape. So first thing you do is you just fold this thing over lengthwise. Try to get everything as lined up as good as you can. And all we're doing right now is just actually making a straight line or a seam that we're going to fold to. Okay, open back up again. And now fold inward right along that seam that you created. One side. And the other side. The more time you take and the more accurate you fold, the better your airplane's going to trim out. I'm probably rushing a little bit here, but that's okay for this. All right. So you see you've made sort of a little house here. And you see right along this edge here, you want to fold the paper back. Right where this paper meets where the fold is. I want to fold right along that edge and try to get this point right in the middle. Okay. Now I've folded everything into basically a square here. I'm going to take the time, because this fold is sort of inside out now, I'm going to fold this over this way. Make sure the edges are lined up. And then open it back up again. And now I have a crease the right direction. Okay, another time we're going to fold the top edge right along the center line. So, once. And twice. Now you see you've got a smaller little house here. And every once in a while I like to just fold things over, make sure all the edges line up, gently press down these seams, get them nice as square as you can. And you see what you've got here. Okay, one more thing we're going to do. This peak, I want to fold it right down to this other peak. You can sort of see it sticking out there. Okay? I'm going to fold this down right to about there. This is the fold that makes all sorts of kind of waves in your paper. What some people like to do is actually use a ruler or some sort of straight edge to fold against. Then you won't get as many crinkles. But I'm trying to do it here with as little equipment as possible. Okay, you see how that's folded over now? Now one more time I need to fold in half. Gonna get everything as tight as possible. Okay. So now you may have seen these types of airplanes made before. But sometimes what people will do is from this point right here, and that's the way I was taught originally how to do it, they'll fold the wings out. The thing I don't like about that is that it puts all of these folds on the top surface of the airfoil. And you know it's the top surface of the airfoil that's most vulnerable to flow separation. So you'd like to have the top surface of the airfoil as smooth as possible, and the bottom side is more tolerant to being bumpy or have imperfections. So what we're going to do is just the opposite here. We're going to put this on the bottom. Okay, so we're going to fold it this way. Okay, all we've done is sort of fold it inside out. And so now I'm going to fold this corner right here down to this corner here. And you'll see what I mean if you get a ruler and you try to use a ruler to do these folds. I'll actually make it easier. You have something to push against. Boy, I'm really messing this one up. Look, I put a crease in this one. I'd probably start again. You see what I've done? I think I can repair it. Okay. Then I kind of come back this direction, do the same thing to the other side. There we go. Okay, when I unfold this, now you'll see why I did what I did. You see that the top side, relatively smooth, okay? There's some imperfections, but relatively smooth. And all of the folds and the discontinuities in the paper, the triangles and everything, that's on the bottom side. So that's on the pressure side of the airfoil. So the airplane should fly a little bit more consistently. Okay, now you could just take it right now and fly it, see what it does. But there's some modifications that I would suggest to you here. One is to put something on the front just to hold this together. It'll make it more consistent. The dihedral angle for sure. As you'll see, if I open this up, you see, usually end up with a little negative dihedral angle. But if you can hold the front end together, you can hold that positive dihedral angle. So that's a good thing. By using tape, I'm really not adding much weight. I'm not shifting the CG really at all, but yet I'm able to get that airplane to sit closed. Now sometimes though, we'll put a paper clip on the front here, add some weight, allows you to throw it a lot harder. That's why we call them stunt planes, is because put a paper clip on here, you can throw these things straight up in the air pretty hard. And if you make the modifications I'm going to show you in a minute, you can make them do stunts. But right now we're just trying to make a nice gliding airplane. Okay, so there's another couple of modifications you can make to this airplane. It should fly perfectly fine right now, although it may be out of trim, especially with some of the imperfections I have in here. Like I say, I would say for you would use this as a practice one and start again. But I'll show you warts and all here. I'll show you the mistakes I've made, so you don't have to make them yourself. But the other thing you could do here, fold this airplane back down on itself. And if you want to get a little bit more directional stability, one thing you can do is fold the tips up. One like this. And the other one like this. You'll see when I unfold this. You see now I have more vertical surface. So I've got these two vertical surfaces. I also have obviously the bottom here, and so these act as vertical stabs because the CG is up here somewhere. You know, we could try to balance this, you know, try to figure out where this thing balances, or do it upside down, try to balance it on my finger. It looks to me like the CG of this airplane is right here. And that's because of all these folds. And so you see that's probably, you know, pretty close to the quarter chord, maybe a little bit ahead of it. So get your airplane some static stability, which is what we want. The problem we're going to have right now, and if I were to throw this, but I'm not set up for the camera to show you how to throw it, but you can do those experiments yourself. If I were to throw it, it might not fly very nicely right now. So might need to make some modifications to get it to trim. Well, the easiest way to do that is basically just put an elevator on it. So I'm going to fold it back on itself. I mean, you can do this with your fingers and just rip it if you want, but you can be more consistent if you use scissors. Okay, and so now I've made a couple of elevators. You can fold these elevators up on themselves just to make sure you have a nice straight line. Try to make them the same size. You see? Now, I may have deflected them too much here, but that's okay because they're adjustable. You just bend these, you throw it, see what the airplane does, deflect them up, deflect them down. You can even deflect them differentially and watch the airplane do rolls, different things like that. All right. So the idea here would be that you'd make one of these airplanes, and then you change different things. You know, you can put a paper clip on, take a paper clip off. That'll shift the CG around. You can move the deflection of these elevators up and down. Try throwing the airplane at different speeds to be able to find out what your trim speed is, and you know, just have fun with it. And I think you can learn a whole lot about stability and control of airplanes just from this simple little hand launch glider.